Welcome to Toffee TV. Me and the Piv thought we'd start this transfer things. It's about the time now that you start to look
it's like
for
Michael
new
Bublé
players.
At Christmas, isn't it?
It
I
is.
come out near the summer and the winter, yeah.
Because let's be honest, after that Brighton game, we need something positive to look forward to. But one of the positions that we think Everton are looking at, and we're aware Everton are looking at, and a key area is right backs. Obviously, we've got him on the screen. He will be discussed in a bit. Max Aarons, because he's been linked with Everton quite heavily. But it's a key area for Everton, isn't it? Obviously, Seamus Coleman is 33 this year. It's a bit unfair to expect them to run up and down for 90 minutes and supply goals and crosses and stuff. And Everton have got no other right back. Mason Holgate has done it as a defensive right back, but we've got no one like Coleman, have we, in the squad?
No, and I suppose people have said that we should have replaced them maybe a couple of years ago. I think the club obviously wanted a long look at John Joe Kenny because he was already in-house, and we obviously did the bridge and loan where Stevie came in. That didn't really work out, did it? And then Kenny come back, and I don't think any managers particularly fancy John Joe. And we are where we are, I guess. No, it's a massive, important position because I think with a team like Everton, you need, if you want to play with those, James who floats in off, if he's going to play as the right winger, he wants to come off the wing, he creates a load of space. Or if you play with another winger and James, obviously needs someone to stretch teams. So it's of massive importance. We've seen with Liverpool, obviously, with their two fullbacks, not as good this season, of course, but they've obviously caused a lot of damage, do a lot of the creativity for Liverpool. Reece James, Ben Chilwell at Chelsea, sorry. In the modern game, fullbacks are really important. And I think on one side, we've got Luca Dean, probably the best in the league, really, in that position. And we need to replicate or have something different to balance that out on the other side. And I think that's one of Everton's main concerns this summer.
Yeah, because I think when Coleman has been fit and able to get up and down, it's really stretched teams and it's opened up Everton's options, and particularly when you've got a player like James Rodriguez who likes to come in. When he's played off the right-hand side, he drops into that pocket of space in the middle, and then if you've got someone running, he's such a great passer of the ball that he can find the space right or left, and it's made it more difficult for teams. We haven't been able to get Coleman up to speed enough times. He's had a lot of injuries this season, and like I said before, it's just difficult to this. We've seen it with Leighton Baines, and Leighton Baines didn't have a bad injury like Seamus had. Once you get to kind of early 30s, you have to be conservative with your runs. We're seeing Luca Dean bombing up and down. The idea of a continuation plan with him would be Thierry Small or Niels and Kunku, who are young lads and are learning the trade, so that when Dean does it, that 30 mark, they're then trading in and out, and hopefully the transition is more smooth. We did see it with Dean and Baines. Baines was still, a lot of people were made up with Baines. When Dean come in, I think we were all thinking, get a year to bed in and then next year, and yet he got 4 or 5 games in and that was it. He took Leighton's place. Yeah. So we haven't had that on the right-hand side with Seamus Coleman, and it's such a key area. I think Ped's been banging on about it all season.
Yes.
But it's becoming more and more relevant every week now when you're seeing, especially when Holgate's there, because I think Mason Holgate's done a decent job, but he's a defensive right-back. He offers nothing across the halfway line, really,
you don't have to worry about him, do you, when you're an opposition team? He's not going to stretch you. His crossing's not really that great.
No.
And don't get me wrong, he's done an able job defensively. It's just that we need more. Everton want to be a much more fluent attacking team. You need to stretch teams out so they can't concentrate with 2 players on your James, your Dom, your Richarlison. That's key. That right-hand side's the real key, isn't it, really?
And I guess just before we move on to the options, good, not on Ned, keeping it on Andy when I was talking. Just before we move on to the options, is Everton's goal difference bears that out. +3.
Yeah.
We're 8th with +3, and everyone above us is 19, 17, 18. We simply don't score enough goals, do we?
No, we don't. And Dominic Calvert-Lewin was obviously in real fine form in the season because we were getting a lot of ball crosses into him. I think obviously that's dissipated now because we're relying so much on Luca Dean. Teams start to pick up on that and start covering that situation. You need to be able to present different problems, which is what having a right back and a right winger. You also, you can vary it then. Whereas at the moment, if I'm team setting up 7, I have to stop that left hand side and stop James Rodriguez. If you add 2 different options to that mix, become much harder to defend then, which makes us much more a problem for teams.
Definitely. Let's have a look then. The first one we've got is Léo Dubois. At Lyon. He's someone I know that you like. I remember you sending me some stuff on him a while ago, and we had a look at him, didn't we? And He's 26 years of age. He's played 30 games for Lyon so far this season, scored 2 goals, got 3 assists. Passing accuracy, 83%. Progressive carries, which is what I wanted to put on this, and you can talk us through that in a minute, but I think that's really important because we'll see when we see the Everton plays later on. Key passes, 1.9 a game. Tackles, 1.41 a game. Dribble pass, 0.4, which isn't bad. So talk us a little bit through Dubois and what the progressive carries, why it's important.
We'll start with progressive carries. The reason progressive carries are so important is obviously in modern football you want to transition quickly because obviously the more players you carry through, break the lines, the less defenders, the more advantages, overload you have. So what you want players, right backs, wingers, centre midfielders, is to be able to progressive carry. Now it's defined in different ways. Usually from your own half, it's a run of 10 to 15 yards. In the opposition half, it's a run to 5 to 10 yards. So it's carrying the ball over a longer distance. Into dangerous areas, and Léo Dubois, although not a super athlete, I wouldn't say he's super fast. He reminds me in a lot of ways of Luca Dean in the fact that he does get up and down so well. Really good crosser of the ball. Plays regular Champions League football. When he first went to Lyon from Nantes, I wasn't a big fan. I thought he could do better, but actually, the more you watch him, the more he beat out Kenny Tete, who's done pretty well at Fulham this season, and Raphael used to play for Manchester United, and he is a really France international, of course, as well. Really good player. I think defensively really solid as well. I think he probably costs more than some of the other options. He is more established. He's 26, going 27 probably next season. I suppose he's more of a ready-made one.
Yeah.
If Everton signed about that, I'd have absolutely no issue. He's a good footballer.
Yeah, I think he is good. I've obviously watched bits and pieces of him as well. Knew about him anyway, but really, when you said have a look, I've watched a lot more of him, and he's good in the final third, and it's being able to create that option on the right hand side, what we've got the left, and then if you're a team defending against Everton, all of a sudden you've got the double threat then, which is what we've seen Liverpool do really well, Manchester City, Chelsea are doing it with Reece James and Chilwell, like you said, and Alonso when he comes in. Everton when it's one side, Everton, let's be honest, Everton were at the very best with Coleman and Baines. And Baines almost kind of not invented it, but became
Vogue, they were in vogue,
it was in vogue with it, and Everton were a real threat, and other teams thought, we could do stuff like that, similar to that. And it was when we had both of them flying down either wing, we were more difficult, and particularly Martinez's first season. Rom scoring goals. Seamus, I think he got 7 or maybe even been 9 goals that season, 7 or 8 goals. And we haven't had anything like that. But Dubois is a good option. Definitely, but like you say, he might cost a little bit more and is a little bit more ready-made. Next is Max Aarons, who is someone who Everton have been linked with many times. For a while, had the best stats in Europe in terms of carrying it and stuff, but obviously you can see that Dubois progressive carries are better. But Max Aarons, 21 years of age, 40 games he's played this season, scored 1 goal, 1 assist, passing accuracy 84%. Progressive carries 4.78 a game. Key passes 1.4. 0.7 tackles a game. But you'd expect that because Norwich are dominant, aren't they? And dribble passed only 0.3 times per game. So Max Aarons, what
Well, Max Aarons, people saw him last season. He started the season quite well with Norwich, and obviously then they had, he's only a young player. They had obviously a lot of difficulties in the Premier League because he probably got promoted earlier than they thought. This season, I would say to my watchers, the EFL for my job regularly, Norwich are probably one of the best teams the Championship's had in the last 20 years. They're really good. Like, Buendia plays on the same sides, but really good team to watch. And people, I think people have honed in on certain things with Max Aarons and said this is why he shouldn't be, mainly the assist thing. Again, as I've said before, assists don't really tell you about individual quality. It's a two-person action. So if you look at Aarons' XA, which is, X-assists, expected assists, it's near to the 5 mark. So he's created 4, or more really quality chances that people failed to put away, and at the end of the day he's done his job, they haven't done theirs. So I think Max Aarons would be a good option. Obviously best friends with Ben Godfrey, played in the Premier League before. I like Max Aarons. I'm not like as high as other people are on him. I think he's a really good player. I think he's best than what we've got, which I know I don't like that phrase, but sometimes to play Everton, you don't need, Everton would love the best right back in the world, they would. But if you're getting someone 50% better than what we've got, it makes a massive difference to the team because he provides what we need. My only concerns are slightly defensively, but he is a young player. Players do take longer to round off into defensive players, by the odd one like Wan-Bissaka types. And the other thing is he's a tiny bit hesitant in the final third with his decision making. That might be just age, but I think Carlo Ancelotti's a manager who can mould them, and I think he would be a good option. The only concern with Max Sands would be the price.
Yeah.
If it gets over 30 million, and obviously Norwich in a good bargain position coming up from the Premier League. But then again, if that's the player you want and that's the player you think can be Everton's right back for 8 or 9 years, then by all means you take it. He's not a player I would say he shouldn't be on the list. Whether he's my personal choice doesn't really matter. I think if Everton sign, I think people would be pretty happy. He's a good player, and I think he's got a room to grow.
Yeah.
Whether he can be a Champions League right back, that's the only question mark, but we'll see.
Let's have that discussion when we're in the Champions League.
Well, exactly.
Whether he's a Champions League right back. But I mean, this is someone I've liked for a while. I remember talking to you about him last season. I'd liked him last season. And then I watched him at Goodison when Norwich beat us 2-0 last year, and I thought, game in which Godfrey played in as well, actually. But I thought Aaron's was excellent that day, and just the width he offered, and he's so comfortable knocking the ball out to him. His first touch is good. He is positive. I think his hesitancy might be that he's created 5 chances and they've only took 1, whereas if he's in them areas and he's got Dom and Richarlison to hit, then maybe it's a little bit
early crosses. Pookie hasn't got the aerial ability of those two.
No,
I think,
or the legs.
No, exactly. I think he's done well for Norwich. I think obviously when he moves on to another level of team, playing with better players, it may help him. I think you can never say that players aren't. He's got a high ceiling. He has. Whether he hits that ceiling, we'll see. But no, definitely good player.
Yeah. Next on our list is Takehiro Tomiyasu.
Good pronunciation.
22 years of age, Bologna, played 26 games, 2 goals, no assists. Passing accuracy 81%, progressive carries 4.36, which I think is quite good for Italy, to be honest. Key passes 0.2, so way down. Tackles 1.5 a game, dribble pass 0.5. What I was going to say about Tomiyasu is he can also play centre back.
Yes.
Good passer, both right and left foot though.
Football,
he's a good footballer, good athlete. But I would say he's a more defensive-minded attacking foot.
He would be. I think he's better going forward than a Mason Holgate. I really do. I think he's much more comfortable in the final third. I think his future probably is the centre back personally.
Yeah.
He has played right back. I remember watching him for St. Treden, which is a Belgian club who signed a lot of Japanese players. Did really well there. Bologna signed him. He tends to take chances on players, and he's done really well. I think, but he's played mixtures. I think he's played 10 games at right back, 14 games at centre half this season. He's done really well in both positions. Again, it depends how Carl sees the team going forward. If he thinks he'd like to go back to that situation where he had a right back who tucks in like Coleman did last season, and then you basically give Luca Dean free rein to up and down. He's more the type of right back that you'd sign. To be honest, I wouldn't sign a right back like that's just my preference, but it depends what Carlo wants. I think he'd be a good option. And I think as a centre back, I wouldn't going forward probably play him and Godfrey as a pair. I think you need more of a stopper to go with one of them two. But I think he'd be a really good addition to Everton. It's just I don't think he's quite the right fit for what we're looking for. But he is a very good player.
Fair enough. I mean, Milan tried to buy him in January for 13 million and it was rejected. So you'd be looking at, I think Bologna are looking for more like 19 million euros now. So interesting one, but like I said, he's a more defensive-minded fullback. Moving on to this is my personal favourite, without a shadow of a doubt. Ridle Baku plays for Wolfsburg, German under-21 international. He's 23 years of age. He's played 28 times. He's scored 6 goals and got 4 assists. He can also play right wing, by the way, so it gives him an advantage attacking-wise. But passing accuracy 77%. Progressive carries 5.05. Key passes 1.2. Tackles 1.6, which I was impressed with, to be honest. And dribble pass less than once a game, which you'd expect that to be a little bit higher than Tomiyasu, because he's a more attacking player. But is he someone you like, and?
I think he's great, I think the thing with Baku is there's a lot more, he's obviously young. There's a lot more potential to grow into. He's played different positions. He played in centre midfield, I think with Gabaman at Mainz. He did, and he's done well in midfield, and you can see that he's trained as a midfielder. The out to in passes, the level of ability on the ball, is right backs usually can be very up and down, very cross, and not really great in terms of combination play. But but he is particularly good at that. I think the key with him is he's really good at penetrating the area, which we haven't had since Coleman started age and got injured. I think that's the key with him. He can offer a goal threat. And this season, he's obviously linked very well with Weghorst, who's a big striker. Not much bigger than Dom, but again, similar skill set in the fact that he's really good in the air. I think that his crossing and ability to break into the box and cause problems would really work well with what we've got in the team. And I think he often offers a different option than the rest of them. And I think he's got a lot of it. And obviously the fact that he can play further forward very comfortably, he can play in midfield in a pickle. I think he's got the most potential of anyone on that list. Whether you can get, I think there'll be a lot of people looking his way this summer. I think he's a really talented young footballer, yeah.
They're looking apparently for £15 million.
I think they'll want more than that.
So, well, they when he bought him for 6.5.
Yeah, he was underrated. To be honest with you, German teams tend to charge each other less because they're a bit more fair in this country where everyone takes every little bit of money.
But then again, don't forget, global pandemic.
German teams struggling, yeah. So if you get them for under 20 million, that's a snip. It just depends. We may think that, Max Aarons is more ready. We may think others are more ready to play. There's not much risk. At the end of the day, it's very easy for me to sit here when it's not my job and I'm not spending the amount of money. I'd like Ridley Baku, but if they bought Max Aarons, I'd be happily fine with that as well.
I think he's my favourite by a mile. And I've seen him cut in a couple of times and arrowed him into the top corner with his left foot as well.
He's a lovely player, yeah.
Can link up, pacey.
Super athlete, yeah.
Great athlete. He would be the one, if I had an option, he would be the one I'd be spending. That'd be where I'd be spending my money, because I think he's excellent. And then Zeki, Celik, who has been linked with Everton for over a year now, plays at Lille. He's played 27 times this season, 3 goals, 1 assist, 78% passing accuracy, progressive carries 6.13, which is good, very good. Key passes 0.9, tackles 2.5 a game, engages the wide players, and dribble past 1.4, which is more than once a game, which is quite high compared to the others, but then again, comfortable in possession, good athlete as well.
He's a good all-rounder, I think. I think he's not as exciting an attack as some of the other players like Baku, on the list. He's just a really good all-round. But when I say all-round solid, I don't mean he's like an average player. He's a good player. He's just got he can do every different part of the game well. I don't think he's particularly great going forward. I think he's good going forward. I think he's a pretty good defender. I think again, what I talked about before, you can't. Everton are in a position where they're going to have a star in every position. You need those 7, 8 out of 10 players. Zeki Celik could be that player. I'm not super high on him. I think that he's got a smaller ceiling than others. I think though, if you want that solid option, you come in and do well. I think Zeki Celik's not a bad option. I'm not going to turn my nose up if Everton got him in the summer. I certainly wouldn't at the end of the day.
Plays for Lille as well.
I think they'll probably win the title this season.
And Lille are very good with players, aren't they?
Yeah, they signed him from the Turkish second division. There's some good players come out of there, to be fair. But yeah, he's I think that they're really good spotting players. He's developed them really well. I think he'll probably be ready amongst others to move this summer as well, because they need to.
And just a little bit of comparison, because it's probably the best way to do it, really. Seamus Coleman, 32, 33 this year, 18 games this season for Everton, no goals but 2 assists, passing accuracy 84%, progressive carries 3.77, which is, it's okay. Key passes 0.7, tackles 1.6, dribble pass 0.2, which I think Seamus is. I used to criticise him for not being a great defender, but 1v1 now, I think he's brilliant.
It's experience, isn't it? Understanding where to be and how you can nullify players better. I think, obviously, I had a lot more expectation on him going forward, and obviously, more out of position. I think he's much better defender. That's why he's played as a sort of in a third centre-back type role last season at times.
But like we've said, if he's your backup, then it's a really good one.
Yeah, if you just play 9, 10 games a season, there's no problem with that.
And he's great coming in. I love him. He's great coming in.
Fresh,
and out, and when he's fresh, I think he's brilliant. And you've seen him at Anfield, he's done a great job, right side of the midfield. So, a great squad play, a great captain, great attitude. We do need another one, but that shows progressive carries have been good. And obviously, Mason Holgate has played there as well this season. He's played 20 games for Everton this season, not all at right back. That is the disclaimer here. 24 years of age, 1 goal, no assist, passing accuracy 80%. Progressive carries 2.05, key passes 0.3, tackles 2.4. He is much more of an engage, he likes the challenge. dribble past more 1.2.
That's playing a centre half.
Which but centre back as well. But it's the carries, isn't it, which really
I think
highlight
Mason's
and the key passes.
first instinct is to defend. He played right back for West Brom. He was a bit better than he has been at Everton.
He was wing back though a lot for them in a five.
He wasn't great on the ball for them.
Yeah,
he did okay when he was crossing. It was trying to build up. The passing just wasn't there. Some games they have 53% passing accuracy. You can't do that in the Premier League.
No.
I think for him, he's fine in games where we have to sit back and defend. I've got no problem. And having that player who's versatile is key in the squad. You need players who can play in different positions. I don't think we can go into another season where he's going to be your second right back or your first choice right back. We need someone much more attacking, really, in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. But I just wanted to put that in for the comparisons and really for the progressive carries to try and get across the point of what we're talking about. Someone who can really get us up the pitch from that right back position. Because I think without Seamus, or when Seamus is not fully on it, that's what we miss more than anything. We've seen it, the goals tried up when Seamus went out injured, and Ben Godfrey's tried it, Mason Holgate tried it, we tried Alex Iwobi there, and he was, to be honest, he was actually had probably some of his best games.
When he had to defend, he wasn't great.
But defensively, he wasn't great, so that is why.
I think the biggest key with right backs and people who can carry the ball, I think, Pep's teams, although superb passing teams, you've always had to have people who can carry through the lines because it causes chaos and it moves players out of position, which then gives you overloads. I think with Everton having that balance on both sides where they can get people up the pitch quickly, you then create space for James Rodriguez, for Richarlison, for Dom. It takes pressure and gives them more it puts them in more dangerous positions, really. So having a player like an Aarons, like a Baku, whoever you want out of them, Dubois, whoever you want out of them three, put us in the best position. There's other players that people have mentioned, Denzel Dumfries. I'm not that keen on him. He reminds me slightly of Sidibe in his position. Great on the recover, which is why he always looks great, but he's out of position a lot. Junior Sambia, who's had a fantastic season for Montpellier. He was in a coma with COVID last May, so he's really recovered me, and he's a super athlete, like 6 foot, gets up and down well. Not the best technically, but he is a really effective player, creates a lot of chances. He'd be an option you could look at. There's right back and left back, there's probably a lot of good, decent options in Europe. I think we've mentioned probably the best of the options, though, for me.
Yeah, so if you had to choose one
it'd
right
be
now...
Ridley Baku, I think because of his versatility, and I've always been a really big fan. I'm a big fan of Joshua Kimmich when he played right back, and Lam. I know he moved late in his career to centre midfield. Players who've got that ability to play with that passing game where you can move the ball. I think a lot of fullbacks don't have that. I think Liverpool obviously have got one. You can't defend them, but I think that's really been the key, is that you can play those out swing balls and play it around the corner. I think Baku's got that ability.
Definitely, Kimmich is quite special. But Baku would be mine. We will do a more detailed look at each of these players as well, with some more data from that me and Andy will knock together at another time. But just wanted to touch on it now because obviously we're in the middle of April now. The season's got less than 6 weeks to go, and the attention will start turning to the areas that Everton need.
Business end of the year.
Exactly, the business time. So let us know in the comments section below what you think. Which one would you like Everton to bring in? Is it a key area, a key priority for you? Give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't. If you want more videos, join us over on Patreon. See you later.